The Avalanche transmission starts now.
All right, it looks like we are live here. I'm just going to kind of give people a chance to catch it and get in here, and we'll slowly kind of get started. But first and foremost, thanks for joining us, guys. We certainly appreciate it. We have the DeFimons team here today, and we're going to be talking about the game that they're working on. I think there is a lot of interesting things about this game that, based on what's out there and what's known so far, maybe aren't exactly apparent. And there's a lot of depth to it, and I'm excited to cover some of those things today. So before we get into it, we have Ghosty here, and we also have Benelohim. So Ghosty, let's tell the people who are you and what's your role on DeFimons.
Hey everyone, I am Ghosty and I am the founder of DeFimons. I am also the lead on the front end side. I have multiple MNCs, startups, all those things. Regarding our project DeFimons, I think we currently have a team of 20 plus members, and so we have a team of 20 plus members, and Benelohim is one of them. So I'll pass it on to him.
Cool, thanks. And Ghosty, yeah, you're cutting out a little bit. I don't know if you maybe have can move to a better Wi-Fi area or something, but just so you know.
Okay. I'll go. Hi everyone. It's me, Benelohim. It's kind of weird to talk with this nickname. So I'm Benelohim. I've been in the games industry for the last 7 years. I designed a bunch of mini games for big MMORPGs. So what I'm doing at DeFimons is that I am a game mechanics designer. You could just call it game designer as well. I'm working on different aspects of the game, try to make it a bit more fun. We're trying to make crypto gaming legit. We're trying to make crypto gaming as fun as possible, as engaging as possible, and as open to many people as possible. So me and Ghosty is working closely. I'm also kind of sometimes working with the lower team. That's it.
That's right on, thanks. And why do you say that it's funny to go by the name Benelohim?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm working professionally too. So before I started working in the DeFimons, I was working like with my actual name. I was undoxed. Hopefully, we'll undox with the DeFimons too. I mean, everyone that wants to can actually find my identity. But usually when I'm talking about games, I'm not talking with this name. I'm talking with my real name. So it was kind of weird to say I am Benelohim. But yeah.
Got it. Okay. And what is, let's just kind of talk briefly about the game itself. How would you describe the game to someone that is not a gamer? Like, how would you describe what you're building to someone you met on the street?
So I'll try to answer this. If someone, basically everyone knows about Pokemon, everyone knows about, if not Pokemon, they know about Digimon or any of these kind of games. And that's the audience we are trying to target, nostalgic games, nostalgic mini games, Sonic Runner style mini games, all those things. And if someone has played, a little bit of games in their youth, then they'll easily recognize what we are building. We are trying to build school games, but with a multiplayer mode and with a lot of different interactions that weren't originally. That's what DeFimons is. And we are trying to bring in interoperability to it, bring in multiple projects, multiple communities together who can play together, have fun together.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, what I've seen of the game, and what I know of the game that I think is neat, and an achievement is it seems like you guys focused on having a number of different game modes that sort of cater to potentially different game styles, personalities, and people, but they all still come together, right? They thread together to actually create something cohesive, which is not an easy thing to do. But when you say the game is meant to be interoperable and bring in other communities, could you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So currently, with the initial game launch, we are targeting at least 15 to 20 different NFT projects. And these NFT projects, some of them we have already announced, such as Tasty Bones, such as popular Ethereum-based projects, popular Avalanche-based projects. We have already integrated Avalanche animals. So all these NFT communities can come into our game. They can represent their own community as an in-game character, an in-game, and that is only available to their NFT holders. So multiple communities can come together, interact. You can move around. You can interact with someone. You can challenge them for a battle directly. So these kind of interactions we are trying to build, and we are also offering other type of interactions and other type of integrations. So we are working with projects such as Yeti Finance, such as Platypus Finance, and we'll be soon announcing a partnership with Kaiju Kings. And these different partnerships, we are building in-game monsters that are inspired from these projects, and trying to make sure that every NFT project is represented in our world in somehow.
Got it. And I want people. Go ahead.
Okay, so my side, what I saw in gaming is that, and between crypto gaming, is that there is not a single project on crypto gaming that can pull the numbers like a decent sized game in a Web 2 setting can pull, right?
Right.
So the numbers aren't there yet. So right now in this current state of the economy, what we have to do is make games accessible to different communities, different chains. So for example, what Ghosty has chosen, like at the beginning of our project, is to build this game on HTML5. Why? It can be played on mobile phones. It can be played in very, very old laptops, computers, right? So, and to the people that can't access the luxury items, they can just go on to anything that they're using and try to log in that way. So, I think that's very valuable. That we have to build this way. We have to make it interoperable and accessible, because that's how actually crypto games are going to succeed when they pull numbers, because right now the numbers aren't there yet.
That's an interesting take on that and approach, because the game is built, architected and designed specifically to be accessible. And what I mean by accessible is not resource intensive. So it can be played on sort of any device of any age. And in that way, you're offering the game to more people, right? Because not everyone has a brand new iPhone. Not everyone has a nice gaming PC, et cetera, et cetera. But when you talk about crypto games, not sort of seeing the user base and adoption that Web2 games have, I think part of it is the accessibility thing that you're talking about, and a really, really interesting angle to pursue, and not one that I've heard other projects talk about. But do you also think it's potentially because of simply the medium of crypto games, which tend to be mostly browser based? I mean, the games that have tremendous user bases and generate tremendous revenue, these tend to be mobile games. These tend to be PC games through a distribution platform. And so, do you think there's this inherent barrier in Web3 gaming because so many of these games are browser based?
So what we feel regarding all these different games exist in Web3 is most of them are targeting trying to be AAA games, and they are trying to sell out multiple NFT and all those things. But at the end of the day, most crypto users aren't gamers, and most gamers aren't crypto users. And we are trying to target both Web2 and Web3. So within our game world, we are trying to make sure that all the users, if they aren't familiar with Web3, if they do not have a MetaMask wallet, we create a simple quest for them. They log in into our website. They see it's similar to Pokemon. They see it's it reminds them of their youth, and they'd be willing to install a wallet to test out more of the features. And to install the wallet, we create tutorials within the game where they are taught on how to install the wallet, how to connect the wallet, and so on. So that's how we're trying to onboard Web2 users into the game. And also the point that you mentioned, currently there aren't any distribution platforms that support Web3 games, such as Epic Game Store. None of these currently exist, and these didn't exist in 2004, 2005. That was the same time around when browser-based games were popular, and games such as Habbo Hotel or other games that just run in the browser and were really simple to play. So that's how we are trying to approach this, and we want to as many users as we can. We are trying to target Web2 and Web3 together, and HTML5 based games are easier to run on low end hardware, and we are trying to make sure that the barrier of entry to the whole project is really low.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. I mean, I love the teams that are really sincerely trying to move this stuff forward and look for adoption and recognize, the way that these games are being built, for better or for worse. You have to try something. You have to try it at some point, right? Aren't exactly what's going to take this to the next level. So I really appreciate that about you guys, that you have your style, your strategy that's yours and that you're passionate about. And I think that being passionate about something is a required element when you want to have something truly successful. But let's get back to the specific game itself. Tell us about the game. Tell us what it's like to play the game. What are you doing when you're playing the game? How did you guys think about bringing all these game mechanics together and making a fun game? Oh, and by the way, I've turned the comments on here, so everyone please behave yourself. But if you have thoughts or questions, you can feel free to put them in here, and if we have time or we can fit them in, we'll address them.
Okay, so regarding the gameplay, regarding all the different aspects that we have put together, this game has, it has been a journey for us. It has been ups and downs, and we have, changed a lot of things throughout the game process. We were first target simple, game world where you could move around, you could capture monsters. That's it. It was similar to old school Pokemon style games. That's it. But then we, while building the game, we explored multiple things such as apartments, such as different interactions, and we realized can be easily scaled to multiple things. It can be easily scaled to many, can be easily scaled to interactions such as proximity audio and all those things. At the end of the day, the project essentially becomes an old school Pokemon style game where you can interact with others, where you can challenge a random player on the map, and you can have a battle with them, where you can talk to them via proximity audio. Just move in closer and they'll be able to hear you, and other different interactions. And also, we are trying to target the free to play aspect as well. So we have a lot of mini games in our game world. Players can farm different crops. Those are not NFTs, and They can test out the gameplay. They can test out the whole game world before investing into the project.
Got it. So there's a like capture. Excuse me, my voice is a little gone, but capturing monsters like Pokemon Element. But then there's also this battle and community component where you actually have this world where you can kind of build a life in, and that extends to your dwellings that you can customize. And so is the point here, in addition to the game, to have something that also feels a lot like a bona fide online community where people can like meet and connect, or is it sort of a side effect of the game mechanics itself?
So the community is also something that we are trying to target, and that in the interaction, in the integrations we're trying to do, because we are trying to bring in as many different communities, as many different NFT projects across multiple chains to our game world. And also, and we'll be offering them different quests. So if you're an owner of a certain project, you will have a special quest that built for your project. And these kind of will help you on the project more and also explore our game more. We are trying to explore multiple aspects of play, and this kind of framework is opens a lot of different opportunities for us.
Yeah, I see. So if you're a partner project and you're integrated into this game, not only do you have your character within the game, but there'll be customized and built quests related to the project that a player can actually play and interact with.
Yes. So currently we are working with different projects on Ethereum. One of them is Zooverse, and we are building out quests for them. These are multiple sub quests, and that their users can come into a game world. They can complete these clues. They can capture different monsters. They can capture different items. Collect these items, and at the end of the mission, they get to see a certain NFT that is only available to their holders, or we can trigger other things as well in the game world. But overall, these different quests help the players understand their project well, and that's the kind of idea that we had for this project. Like we wanted to increase the visibility for existing NFT projects, bring in more users to Web3 through a fun, innovative game.
And the marketing and the community building for a game like this. I mean, have you guys have worked on other games for like other mediums that didn't have a crypto element, right? Like Bentley, you mentioned other games that you worked on. How different is the strategy in crypto when you're looking at like onboarding players and getting visibility to the game and getting people playing for it? I mean, obviously there's like these huge industries around marketing games, and for someone that has experienced that, I wonder what the differences are, and sort of if you kind of compare and contrast some of that.
So in Web2 games, you're a fish in a pond, right? So you have to, fight for your own survival. If there's another game that is doing almost similar, everything similar, but something's better than you are going to lose, 100%. You are in this sometimes small, sometimes big, but you are a fish in a pond, and that's it. You can't have teammates. Maybe you can collaborate with other game studios sometimes, but nothing more than that. You can't try to actively be part of different communities at the same time. So I worked in MMORPGs, two big European MMORPGs, and what happened there was that we as a game studio have to keep our grounds. We have to make sure that we do everything completely correct, and we can't do big changes after a while. We can't be transparent about our building methods, we can't be transparent about our building process, our game design process, our game making process, and why we are doing different decisions and all that. But with crypto gaming, what is like, really apparent is that we have a responsibility to anyone that may ever play our game, right? So
Mm-hmm.
to make it as good as possible, not just not just to one, not just to our game, but to help out any other different crypto games. At the same time, we have to make sure that happens. So in a Web2 setting, you're just a fish. In a Web3 setting, you're a team player. You have to keep up with the rest of your team. You have to keep collaborating.
Mm-hmm.
And I that's the biggest difference that you can see.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, transparency, Web2 companies are designed to be very non-transparent. They keep their secrets very, very well,
Right.
uh, because like I mentioned, you have to. The competition is really high. So if you don't do things in secret, anyone just copy off, and you can just get doomed on your future that you worked months on, right? So
Right.
uh, I think like a lot of different aspects just come into play when you add responsibilities and openness of blockchain. However, you need to at the same time make sure that you're doing things in a very structured way. You can't, because investors in crypto games are very ruthless.
Yeah.
You know, they will criticize you, and I
Yep.
love this. They will openly criticize you. They will make posts about you if you don't do something right. But at the same time, if you do something right, they will be your biggest marketing tool at the same time.
Yep.
They will be
Yep.
like your soldiers. So I think that's part of the crypto gaming is very, very big.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That is the very definition of a double-edged sword, and it's true. But I think the good news there is that you're held accountable, and and not to suggest you need an external force to hold you accountable, but I actually think that there's real value in that, and it helps orient a team and people. And so I think that that's really cool. Um, when you're kind of looking at the story and the lore for something like this, which is really important for any compelling game. I'm wondering if you can kind of tell us a little bit about the story that underpins the world, and how you go about writing and creating that, and making sure that it's something that is interesting and fun, and ultimately serves the vision of the game.
I think I can also answer that a bit. So we, like Ghosty mentioned before, it has been a journey, right? So our lore design process has changed a bit over time too. So what I would define right now is that we have a lot of inspirations from real world mythological concepts.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of star references. We have a lot of mythic references to different cultures. These
Mm-hmm.
could be Asian, Hindu, Western,
Yeah.
Indian. Like we really dive deep into old legends, old mythic creatures, and old lores that we could. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
that was our first starting point. After a while, what we tried to do is that there's this sense of urgency. There's the sense of wanting to join to this unknown events that are happening in the world without
Mm-hmm.
trying not to give spoilers, but
Yeah.
these wondrous events that are happening at the same time, but you're also trying to keep yourself away from dangers. You don't know what you're up against, so that gives you a wonder. You are curious, but you're at the same time
Mm-hmm.
afraid. So our characters have different personalities, and the role around them revolves around this at the same time. It kind of changes based on what your personality is, where you're going through in the lore. So it's very dynamic, very reactive. Our lore team is working hard to make it as coherent to any scenario as possible.
Mm-hmm.
um, so yeah, we well, mainly we pull a lot of references from solar systems and real life um, mythical events and lores, but I would say these are the pillars of the story.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
to add to this, so as you mentioned, most of our characters have their own personalities, and we are following a whole journey. We have created a Twitter account character, and we'll be following his journey throughout that Twitter page, and we'll be sharing what's happening in the game and what's happening in the storyline. We have some open endpoints to the storyline, so we can add in more content because this will be a long-term project, and we want to add in more content as time goes on. But overall,
Mm-hmm.
like, the current storyline has a lot of twists, and players get to explore more. They get to learn about different monsters. They get to learn about different mythical creatures that are inspired from the real world, and you'll see like a lot of these inspirations in our monster designs, in our the attack movements and all these animations. And
Mm-hmm.
also regarding the personalities, so all the all the story characters that we introduce, all these will be available to the players as in-game skins. So they'll be able to buy these NFTs, and they'll be able to interact with other NPCs on the map. Different skins have different personalities. Could be shy. Some skins could be, they have a characteristic called lone wolf. So these different kind of personalities have different interactions with NPCs. So if I'm using a shy skin, then other NPCs might interact with me in a different manner, and this opens up more in different types of path that the story can follow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what is the Twitter account you have for the main character?
So I think I can drop the link to that Twitter account in the chat.
I may have found it.
But
What's it? What's it? What's his name?
uh, could you repeat your question again?
What's his name? I think I may have found it on Twitter. Or is it up
It,
yet? Yeah, I have it. Okay, so I will just kind of put this up here so someone can take a look at it if they want. And I think that's that's pretty neat. So we'll leave that up there for a little bit so people can check it out. Um, so one of the things that tells me that you guys take not only the story very seriously, but the gameplay and creating a unique experience is this concept of morality in the game, right? And this is something I play games, I've seen in other games, and and have always really enjoyed. And the concept there is based on your decisions in the game and how you choose to interact with people. It shapes the world around you, and that could look like your future interactions with other characters, the physical world of the game itself, these kinds of things. And so I want to talk about your decision to include something like that in the game, but also point out that if you have essentially a decision tree of interactions and dialogue that can go a number of different ways based on a player's behavior at any given time, you have to have a very, very deep, rich a data set to run people through that. So just that alone tells me that you guys are spending a lot of time crafting this. But the morality thing, just in general, is interesting as a game mechanic, right? So why did you guys want to include that?
so I'll touch upon a bit upon and upon the dynamic nature of our game. So we have a lot of different dynamics happening while you're playing the game. Have a weather system is one of them. So
Mm-hmm.
when a player changes, this affects the mutations of their monsters. This affects uh, you know interactions they have with different NPCs and some games such as Fallout games. All those games had different levels of systems that were similar to our morality scale, and it ends up for different paths for the storyline and what can happen with the and all those things. So kind of dynamic elements.
We're losing you. We're losing you again, Ghosty.
Gets boring.
We kind of missed, I think, the last maybe 20 seconds of what you just said. It's no, I think your signal's pretty low. I can see it here, and it's pretty much dead now. Maybe you could talk about this a little bit, Benelohim.
Yeah. So okay. So for the morality and in-game decisions, so I'm in games usually I'm very in the side of not overcomplicating things while adding depth. So what we assumed at first is we can make this morality type schema, but we can also make it sure that it's not reflecting too many on the game, so that not any other decision is too overpowered, or no one's is getting punished just because they are choosing to play the game the way they want to play. So that was our first deal, but after that we decided to incorporate morality a bit more. Now with certain decisions, even your monster can have a different effect, but we are of course balancing it out as good as possible, but at the same time we're trying to add more focus onto that morality mechanic that we added, just so that we can make sure that players make decisions in a way that maybe if they want to reach certain goals, but to do that, okay, you must go through these steps. Are you willing to take these steps? Are you going to be wanting to take these steps to reach your goal? Or maybe will you choose the road that leads you where, or your target? So lots of different decisions to make for the character. And also, like I mentioned, we are trying to make the monsters dynamic to fit these at the same time, so that we can have a bit more depth into this whole morality. Because for most games, once they implement this is a subject that is not at the same time not very cared about. We want player to actually care about this mechanic. We want them to their characters are going to have personalities, but we want them to have their own personalities as well. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, really cool. Let's talk about the value that's exchanged in the game. Let me just I can ban this guy. An asshole. Okay. The value of the token and the NFTs and the items and these kinds of things, right? We haven't talked at all about that. And I want to cover like the NFTs and how people should think about them and their place in the game, and how they're going to be sold, and ultimately how they tie into the game mechanics.
So overall, like if we talk about different NFTs and our game economy, our end goal was to make sure that our token does not affect the actual value of the game. So if in a bear market, for example, the token price goes down, it shouldn't affect the player morale it shouldn't affect if the player wants to play the. And overall, like what we can do and what we decided to move towards is that we affect the token price from the game itself. So we take a different route where we use our NFTs as the main source and main source for controlling the game economy, and we move from a single variable to multiple variables that we can handle. And these different variables help us manage and create value in the system, while also creating demand for used for every, like for buying and selling these NFTs, for transaction fees, for mutating your monsters and so on. So different NFTs we have inside our game economy, and most of like the most important ones are the monsters and items. So you capture monsters and you are able to mint them as NFTs. But if you choose to not capture them, and you see that this type of monster already exists in the marketplace a lot, be able to make a profit on it, or you do not want the monster in general, you can choose to finish it, and you get some item NFTs that you can craft together further play the game. So we create a loop in the game, and the player is incentivized to keep on playing, because at the end of the day, you have a chance of getting a rare monster, and if you do not get a rare monster, you still have a chance of getting a rare NFT. This way, everyone is rewarded, in a sustainable system. Also, that we are able to create value wherever possible.
So, in the context of the game, why would a player want to be collecting and buying monsters? What does that afford them in the game?
So fun is
Fun.
where we need to begin.
Yeah.
So of course other things, but fun is where we need to begin. So of course to access certain stuff, to access, for example, player versus player battles, you need to have monsters. That's the first thing. But later down the line, okay, Ghosty's gone again. Okay, later down the line, what we discussed and designed before as well is, have the players sense of different teammates, right? So maybe you have a certain monster, then you can be in certain group. Maybe you're collecting a certain type of monster, then maybe you can exchange these monsters, right? And these will all come with their different perks, is what I would say. So especially fun is where our focus is at first. After that, we want to have the players join tournaments, join leaderboards, join different mini games with their monsters as well. We have mini games for people that don't have any NFTs, but at the same time have these monster NFTs, have these apartment NFTs. So collecting these different types of stuff is going to give you perks, whichever side you want to go. Maybe you don't want to do player versus player battles, but maybe collecting different types of monsters are going to give
Right.
you access to different type of mini games, right?
Right.
So we're just trying to make everyone happy, which is a hard thing,
Yeah.
but we at the same time not trying to limit accessibility. I think going in this direction is going to be the best way. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I played the beta that's available. Actually, I just put the link up here for anyone that hasn't that wants to check it out. And what I noticed about the little like missions and side quests and things that are in there is that each one of them is it's actually fun. It's a each one's an experience. It has character, and you feel like you're really interacting with the people and the world, right? And that's because these characters actually have stories, and there's a point to the interaction. And I think it just goes a long way in creating something, beyond what we were typically seeing. So I'm really excited to see and feel kind of what the full game feels like. But there are also in the beta, I know there's at least one, mini games, right? I think with Uncle Tony, if I remember correctly. And these mini games are interesting, because, well, they add more fun to the game for sure. But they also, there's something that needs to be conceived and designed. And so, with the mini games themselves, tell us about how you guys are coming up with those, and determining whether they actually have a place in the game or not, and how many you have to develop.
So if we talk about the mini games, with Uncle Tony, that we do not consider a mini game. That's a part of the mission system. If we talk
Mm-hmm.
about mini games, they will be interactable, different, apart from our current. And basically, the
Okay.
player will be able to interact with certain items on the map, and that would trigger that mini game. It could be a survival
Gotcha.
mini game. It would be, Sonic Runner, all those things.
Oh,
That's
cool.
what we consider a mini game in our game world.
Okay.
And if we talk about the quests, our goal with the quests was to showcase what is possible in our game world, and we wanted to showcase different things that the players can do, the interactions that are possible, and how we are able to showcase the storyline. While the games in the end game, like the final release, all the missions at that time would be fully fledged long missions that you have to follow through a whole storyline, and
Mm-hmm.
different missions causing you to capture different monsters and collecting different items and all. And they will
Mm-hmm.
have such smaller with Uncle Tony, you had to unlock a trash bin. Where we
Yeah.
have multiple interactions like this. We have fish interaction that is similar to Valley. Then we have
Mm-hmm.
a farming interaction where you have to farm a crop. These different kinds of interactions are have already been developed, and we are still working on and adding more interactions wherever possible. But overall,
Mm-hmm.
the idea that we had with these kind of interactions is to make everything fun as possible. So each mission should feel fun, and it shouldn't feel like you're doing a job, because with current crypto games, yeah, it feels like all the battles that you do, all the with games like Axie Infinity, it feels like a job at the end of the day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we
Yeah.
do not want that, and we want users to play around, have them with different NPCs, and engaged into the whole lore of the game, and also play mini games and play the large mini games that I mentioned, like Sonic Runner and all those things, but with our monsters in play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense. The beta is actually pretty fun. And for anyone that hasn't played it, go play it. And if you can find the homage, the nod, the reference to Red Dead Redemption 2 in it, send me a message, and I'll send you 10 Zava tokens. First one only. So the art style, the kind of 8-bit art style. This is um, obviously like foundational to the game and the aesthetic. Was there ever another art style sort of considered, or why did you go in this direction, and what are some of the challenges in designing an experience with this art style?
So,
So this comes with
so as a first challenge, people called us Pokemon copies, uh, which is weird to see. And pixel art is very unique in a way that you can't just add just one color everywhere to add
Mhm.
shades, to add depth, to add, for example, shadows, right? And it's very hard to keep certain objects stand out from the rest of the world.
Mhm.
So, I mean, considering all this, it was a challenging beginning.
Yeah.
Um, but our team is very, very talented. They, like, for example, Wild, shout out Wild. He's very good. Um, so
Is that Wild who's in the chat here?
yeah, yeah, he is.
Oh, right
So
on. Well, welcome,
yes,
man. Yeah, it's all very beautiful.
yeah. So everything has to be very detailed, and if you want to make a very good pixel art game, you need to make sure that it looks very professional, or else it's just going to be something like a kid drew. So we don't
Yeah.
want that. We want to be professional with those. So yeah, that was the first biggest challenge, is what I would say. Making our own art style, finding our
Mhm.
own art. We always had it, but people, people talk. And later on, making sure objects stand out, making sure everything is coherent.
Mhm.
And
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so, to
It's
this,
beautiful. Go ahead.
so to add to this, like the main idea of choosing, a pixel art game to build out a pixel art game was, if we talk about the old school Pokemon and the new Pokemon game. So those are three. The old games had a value, and the value was that you could imagine the world around you because there wasn't that much detail present in the game world. So you could imagine yourself, and it was based upon your imagination, and you could explore the world. You could imagine different things here and there. But if we look at
Uh-huh.
the three games, then everything is more detailed, and it's difficult for the user to imagine himself in such a world because
Yeah.
it's already too much detailed. But in a game, it's just imagination, and you can do whatever you want. Regarding the limitations, I would say that why this is an opportunity for us in terms of imagination, because we can add in different elements of gameplay without having to spend too much on the design. And working on a pixel art game is fast. If we started to build out a 3D game, we would probably take like 2 to 3 years at least,
Yeah.
and pixel easily done in 1 year. And
Mhm.
the limitations on that front is that uh, certain elements in the game are difficult to add because they need the detail, and they detail, and adding of detail while you're the game does not have similar amount of elements, similar amount of structure. It feels really weird. So we have to keep that consistent. We have to keep all those things in terms of character art, in terms of the overall world map, and all those things consistent. And currently, saying on a redesign for the whole game world and for the characters, we have been revealing, giving some sneak peeks of the game map, of the character designs, and of the profile pictures, all those things. And we are doing a total redesign and improving wherever possible, because at the end of the day, even if it's a pixel game, we want to make it as beautiful as possible.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the pixel art is beautiful, and it's. I don't think it makes sense to sort of reduce it down or apologize for it. It's like kind of like minimalism. A minimalist aesthetic or something like that. It doesn't mean just having nothing in a room, right? It's a very sort of carefully balanced thing where everything has its place, and so. I think I think it's awesome and incredibly difficult to do well, which I think you guys have done. So congratulations there for that. So let's talk quickly about your guys' plans for subnet. Is DeFimons subnet in the works? Is that planned? Is that part of the roadmap?
Yes, so the subnet provides us a lot of value in terms of what we can do, and our end goal is to improve the user experience and to improve the onboarding process for users to enter the game, to learn about Web3, to interact with Web3, and subnets help us scale more. And as we can see with existing subnet, that's why we chose to build our own subnet, and it's currently in works. And we'll be able to, I think, deploy the subnet and all those things related to it in Q3. And while the overall game, the first release of the game will be in Q4, and this release would contain multiple things such as crafting, such as capturing monsters. And next year we are planning to add player versus player, where you could challenge players on the map. And we are also working towards introducing death matches, introducing multiple types of match styles that players can play for their own freedom.
Now tell us about the token. Is the so what's the name of the token?
The token is called MON, MON.
Mon, right? And this is a single token game economy. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So we'll talk about that for a little bit. But the Mons token, is that also is that planned to be the gas token of the subnet?
Yes, so the token will be used for gas fees, it will be used for in-game transactions, it will be used for mutating your monsters, and on the marketplaces or for trading, all those things.
Okay. And the decision to have a single token instead of a dual token, I think, is worth talking about. These are highly debated topics, right? GameFi economies, in-game economies, and there's lots of opinions about them. And a lot of games, I would say the majority of them, go for this two-token model, right? Where you have the capped token, which is generally a governance token, and then has some kind of staking utility, if you can call it a utility. And then you have like a gold or a gem token, which is uncapped, which typically has a lot more sort of utility as it relates to the game. This is the thing that you use to upgrade characters and play and pay, and in these kinds of things. So why did you guys decide to go with a single token, and why is that better when thinking about sustainability? Because this is kind of like what everyone worries about, right?
So
If we talk about the single token choice, feel there's no sense in choosing a single token and having a two system. The day for our what the NFTs. So while we have NFTs, we are able to create value token, because if you want to have the NFT, you need to have our token. You need to have the token for mutation, hold it for in-game transactions, and we are able to create value from the game rather than create value for the game from our token. We are going opposite route rather than commonly followed by current game by projects and current games. And I think when these projects are trying to move towards a two token system, increase the number. And with our system, we have increased the number of variables will token to multiple, at least 5 different variables, because we are controlling game economy with our NFTs, and we are able to maintain the economy in trust. And the user has to hold the token. It's a C need, but it's like important for the token to get value, and that to generate from the actual. So if the game is important, it is good. If the game is fun, be able to get more value for the token. And if we other games, they are trying to create value for the game, they are able to sell the idea that
Mhm.
you can earn while playing. We are not giving that idea at
Right.
all. And we make sure that this is fun. And at the end of the day, while you're having some amount of money, if you're a good player, and
Mhm.
that's the thing that's been the main topic discussion for the past 2 years.
Yeah, I see a lot of teams that are scared, game teams that are scared to basically say, this isn't about making a lot of money. And I think they're scared to do that because, they're skeptical of their ability to actually build a good, fun game. Now, what I do hear more of from just the teams that I meet that I would consider to be, good teams, actually looking at the past and the present and looking ahead, are starting to say sort of more and more like the ability to earn here is not really the point, and it might even be quite limited. And I think that is a realization and a conclusion that a lot of people are coming to, and I suspect we'll see more and more of it as GameFi evolves, and looks for like anchors of stability. And I think it's totally appropriate. I don't think someone needs to be able to buy a house by playing a game. I think if they're rewarded at all, right, that's meaningful. Generally, players pay to play games, and so even 2 cents above that would be an improvement, right? So I think teams overdo it as we tend to do in crypto. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that sounds pretty cool. I mean, all of this stuff is sort of in your docs, which is on the website, which people can check out. And the last thing I want to go over is the apartment builder, because you guys have a little something to show us. It's a core component of the game. So I'm gonna bring that up here on the screen, and you can kind of show us what the current version of the apartment builder looks like. And while you're doing that and playing with it, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the apartment, what you can do there, and its place in the game.
Yeah, sure. So as you can already see, I am not the best interior designer, and you know, but overall, I'll try to explain what the current features look like and what players can do. First of all, I'll just move down here. And regarding the apartments, so as you can see, there are different furniture items, and players can add in, floor wherever they want. They can remove the floor, and uh, they are able to remove these furniture items, and I can create more rooms if possible. Like this is a second room, and this will have a different flooring. This will have different walls, and I can create certain multiple rooms. And basically, these multiple rooms will play an important role for the music system. So we have multiple interactions, and I'll show some of those furniture items that will play an important role in all this. So one of them would be the computer. So players would be able to interact with this, and they can move in their character, interact with this, and they'll be able to see all the mini games that are available to them. And these mini games are popular, 90s style video games. These mini games are NFT games that they own, and all of these games will be automatically available to them on screen when they get the wallet. And then other interactions, in apartments are mostly related to the comic stand. So if you own any comic NFTs, you'll be able to interact with this, and you'll be able to read your comics within our game world, and so on. And then we have the music system. So we are working on that for Spotify integrations, and you'll be able to play, your music, and within the game, and other players who visit your apartments will be able to hear them. And since I'm in the first room, I'm not able to add furniture to the second room, so I'll move to the second room, and I'll add another bed here. So as you can see, not the best interior designer, but overall, like this is our apartment builder currently looks like. You can change the wall designs, you can change the floor designs, and so on. We are always adding in more features. This is what the first release will look like, but we'll be adding in this with more features every month. And once this release is successful, then we'll be adding in features such as multiplayer, proximity audio, so you can invite your friend group, you can move in closer to their character, and they'll be able to hear what you're saying. And these kind of different interactions are possible within the apartments. While these interactions are a core component of the gameplay, the other aspect of apartment long-term sustainability of the system. So our monsters not limited in number, and we have kept that value proposition in a certain way to keep the value of the monsters as low as possible. So a monster NFT could cost you around $20 to enter the game, and as you said, normally games cost you money. So you enter the game with a $20 monster, and you have a chance of getting a rare monster if you're a good player. So these kind of different value propositions that we are providing with monster NFTs, but they are not limited, and they need health packs. And if you're a regular player, then you'll spend a lot on health packs. So what we did for the apartment holders is that they can stake their monsters into their apartments. And once you stake your monster, you'll be able to see them moving around in the apartment building as well. But overall, they regenerate their health and stamina over time, and you do not need to spend on health packs, on stamina packs regularly. You're saving a lot of money. But if you're not choosing to stake them, then you can rent out these slots to other players, so you're able to get sustainable income. And that's how we are trying to create a sustainable system where you're able to get value out of the NFTs that you hold, while making sure that it's not a Ponzi scheme that would fail at the end of the day.
Right. Well, that's definitely unique. I don't know that I've come across that. And it sounds fun, right? Which is important, right? Like the elements tied together in a way that feels fun, like something you want to spend time doing. I've always been really impressed with the elements of this game as I've seen it kind of come together and as I see it progress. Just kind of wrapping up here, because it looks like we are coming up over an hour, and I want to be respectful of your time. What are we looking at in terms of like roadmap? What can the community kind of expect? Where are you at, and what's next for you guys?
So the apartment builder, as you can see, is kind of ready for public launch. We are currently working on fixing these bugs out. Overall, for the roadmap, we have always followed this idea of pushing out the product first and then selling something. And we wanted to push out the apartment builder first, have the players test out these things and play around with it, and then buy the NFTs. So first we'll be launching our apartment builder, we mint out the NFTs, and then we continue working on it, while also we are working on the subnet side by side. So the apartment builder, then the NFTs, then some airdrops. These apartment holders will be able to select their starter monsters, and so on. And once that is done, then we will be working towards the battle system, which we have been for the past 3 months. And we'll be launching the battle system, the crafting system, by the end of this year. And afterwards, once the initial release of the game is done, then we'll be working on player versus player matches, death matches, and so on, and adding in more content regularly to the game.
Cool. Yeah, you guys have a stacked roadmap here. Also in the docs, if anyone's interested in sort of a detailed list here, and there's a lot in here. All right. Well, right on, Ghosty. Again, I want to thank you for your time, taking the time to come here and answer all my questions and give the community some info about what you're working on, and be willing to share it, and just building it in the first place. Thank you for your desire to bring fun into crypto gaming, and hopefully move it forward some. we really need that. And so I have a lot of respect for the people that are taking that seriously, because you know, crypto has a lot of applications and a lot of potential to change things, and gaming is certainly one of them. And it's easy to write it off as these are just games, but gaming has, over time, the decades, has proven to be something much more than just that. And they can be incredibly powerful ways to join people and express creativity and connect community, and extending the opportunities in crypto into that, I think, is really important. So that's why we take gaming and GameFi seriously. And I think you guys are one of the teams that are looking at it in the ways that we look at it. And so, thanks for all the hard work. And as you have more, and more is revealed, we'll certainly be putting it out there for people to see as well. And we can get back on whenever you want and talk more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a fun conversation to have with you. You add in a lot of different ideas. I'll be honest, like all our conversations have improved, towards in game economy, and you have put in a lot of ideas there as well. And yeah, this end has been helpful in a lot of terms, and we're excited to showcase multiple things that we have been working on. There's a lot to show, and we're excited to put it out for the public.
Right on, man. All right, well, we're gonna wrap it up here, everyone. Go follow DeFimons on Twitter. It's the DeFimons. There you'll find the link to the Discord, the website, which has the demo, and the docs. And yeah, get involved. There's ways for you to get involved now and be a part of it early. So I would encourage you to do so. But other than that, everyone, have a great day, and thanks for your time.
Thank you
See
so
you.
much.